I wanted to bring up a video from our comrade Nick Cruz from RBN. This is a video from Hotspot. And let me pull it up. Why do I keep thinking that I'm sharing screen when I'm not? Um, so here's Nick Cruz from RBN, TikTok, doing a TikTok video for Hotspot, um, describing a study that says that Israel knew about what would happen in October 7th, uh, a year before. And I want to point everyone to something else before we show Nick's video. I wrote a piece a couple days after the Al-Aqsa flood started, and this is how I concluded. It is difficult to imagine that Israeli intelligence was truly caught by surprise. It is plausible to suspect that they have allowed events to play out so that they may intensify the genocidal war against the Palestinians while using atrocity propaganda to legitimize their efforts. This does not change, however, the fact that Palestinians are up in arms fighting for their freedom. Neither does it change the fact that, like the all hubris-filled Goliaths, this apartheid colonial state, as we currently know it, may fall. So this was, before any of the studies came out showing that Israel was told by the CIA, by Biden, by Egypt, that the Al-Aqsa flood was happening. But now it's even worse because it's showing
The
here,
hospitals.
as Nick is about to tell us, they've known this for quite a while, for more than a year. So let's listen into Nick.
So apparently, Israel knew about a potential Hamas attack over a year ago. Netanyahu has some explaining to do. In a 40-page document codenamed Jericho Wall, it was outlined in great detail exactly how Hamas planned to launch their attack. Israeli military officials blew it off, though, because they believed that the plan was aspirational and they believed that Hamas could never actually pull it off. Hold up, let me get this straight. Israel will have us believe that Hamas is all-knowing, all-powerful, has control of all the hospitals, control of the UN, control of journalists, but they can't execute a simple military operation. I don't know. To me, it seems like Israel wanted this to happen so they can have an excuse to slaughter a bunch of Palestinian children. I need someone to explain to me why we would give Israel the benefit of the doubt at this point. This is an embarrassing revelation because the Israeli government is even losing their own settler colonial people. After being faced with corruption trials, after facing mass protests last year, this was Benjamin Netanyahu's moment to lead the Israeli people on glorious conquest against the Palestinians, and his approval rating is 4%. Bruh, George W. Bush Jr. had an approval rating over 85% after 9/11. If you're a leader, a disaster like this is supposed to help you. Now Israelis are about to learn that Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel knew about potential attack and did nothing. Now, just wait until Israelis learn about all the citizens that was killed by their own government on October 7th.
Why is it, Danny, that before these studies come out, why is it that us, the Marxist-Leninists, the communists, how come we can predict it? Do we have a magic 8 ball? Where's yours? Do you have yours? I have mine under the bed. I hide it so that when the apartment people come in, they don't see it. I got I rub it a little bit at the top, and then I shake it, and it tells me this is going to happen in the next few months. No! It's because we have a systematic analysis. We understand the system. And because we've seen it work before, it has certain structural laws. Because we understand those laws, we can have a certain degree of prediction about how they're going to continue functioning. So without Marxism, you might be right here and there. You'll have what the Greeks would call right opinion. You won't have knowledge. You won't have the confidence that you would be able to reproduce that knowledge. So what are your thoughts, Danny?
I always make that reference to my students about the crystal ball because I do this activity, been doing it for 2 decades, and I say, I have an ideological crystal ball. I'm going to tell you one word, and then I want you to just write down whatever comes to your mind in your notebook, if students still use notebooks. And I say, I'm going to predict what you're going to say. And then I go, Cuba in 99 0.5% of students are going to write negative communism, dictatorship, Cuban cigars, the stereotypes. And that's the crystal ball that you speak of. We know how the class enemy miseducates our class. So that's a sample. As much as it hurts, from Manhattan, from the Bronx, from Queens, very difficult that someone would ever have a sense about Cuba's education. Of course, there's exceptions, you know. And then I say Haiti, and the students say, you know, hunger and gangs and kidnapping and coups and horrible things. So yeah, the conditioning is deep, and we have to understand that conditioning and push back. With the hospitals, you know, incredible video by RBN. They do amazing work. I've been an admirer for a while now. Why does Israel attack hospitals? It's the infrastructure of a society. You've taken out the housing, so people try to flee to schools, hospitals. You take that out. Like, this is not a quote unquote normal, whatever the hell that means, standard, whatever the hell that means, refugee situation. This is a genocidal, you know, refugee situation with nowhere to escape. Because in the beginning, I was making parallels to Fallujah. The U.S. military massacred thousands and thousands of Iraqis in Fallujah, in Mosul, but people could retreat, people could hide. What is this? What is this? You know, if this is not a Holocaust, what is it? And if Netanyahu's approval rate is 4%, I mean, but you read the Israeli newspapers and the war fervor. So I don't. That's a bit misleading, because the war fervor is over the top.
Absolutely. I like this comment here from Yellow Like Parenti. Marxism is crazy because it's so objectively true. The vast majority of people are kept ignorant of it, like being Galileo opposing geocentrism, but for the 21st century. Yeah. Reminds me of the famous quote from Three Sources and Three Component Parts of Marxism. A great short introductory text by Lenin, a few pages long. How does he start that text, if my memory doesn't fail me? He starts it by saying that Marxism is omnipotent because it's true. What does that mean? That its source of power is rooted in its ability to correctly understand the world. To put it in Leninist terms, to reproduce the concrete concretely in your mind. So it's still true today. That quote is still true today. All right, with that, let's